Welcome back inside another edition of our spring previews. Now joined by Lance Bingham, head coach of the track and field and cross country programs. And Coach, a lot I want to unpack as we chat here this morning. Welcome back, obviously, to Liberty. I know it's been over a year since you returned, but what's it like being back? Does it feel like old times again?
Yeah, it's really neat. After the end of the last meet, Kelly, my wife, was sitting there with me, and we're pretty invested. Both kids graduated here. She graduated here, and a lot of years here. And we were sitting there at I don't know, last 2 or 3 events, and she looked at me. She goes, "This just feels good. This feels right." And I kind of looked at her and I thought, "Yeah, it does." So yeah, it does. It feels great. It's great to be back, be involved in what God's started here, and so exciting. It's exciting, even though there's certain questions, uncertainties. The team's going forward well. So yeah, it's great being back.
Lance, there's that old adage of sometimes you have to leave to come back. And I know that in my career, I've had to grow as a person in my faith, in my career. I had to leave a comfort zone to become uncomfortable and to learn about yourself. You did it twice. Now you're back for your third stint here. Leaving for you, the couple times you did do that, what did you learn about yourself as a coach, as a man, as a father, as a husband? And how has that impacted you in your third stint here?
Oh, where do I start? God is continuing to conform us to the image of Jesus Christ. And as he does that, we understand, I think, more clearly the mission that he has for us in our lives. When you're younger, sometimes it's easier to, and older, whatever, it's easier to maybe get the focus off the big picture. But I think as I have matured and I continue to mature and prayerfully will in the future, that big picture is what is, impacting kids' lives for the kingdom 10 years from now. That just really God has used, a couple of tragedies in my own life. My father passed away, but then we lost a granddaughter. Only lived 5 weeks, and my daughter and her husband are missionaries in Africa. But it's those things that you step back and say, God, you're in control, you're sovereign. In my movings away and coming back, it's not about me, it's about him. It's about being available to be used by him. And so those are some of the truths that I feel like he's ingrained in our hearts and now has allowed us to hopefully navigate well now, even the uncertainties with COVID. I don't stress as much about that because God, you're sovereign, you're in control. I trust you in this time. Help me be faithful today. Mm-hmm. Kind of a long answer to your question, but hopefully, there's many ways that he has certainly grown us, but I think that's probably the biggest.
How about, as I present this next question, Lance, I'm curious and interested in your thoughts on, there's some coaches around the country that bide their time for the head coaching position at the school they're in. And I consider you a legend too, because you won so many championships, just like Brant did. Was Liberty ever the end goal, or is it like you said, hey, we walk in today, where we are today, and again, we might have dreams of, hey, one time I want to position myself to be the successor. Where did that sit with you? And not looking for a particular answer, but now you are the head coach here at a renowned program and tip of the cap to the Hall of Famer, Brant Tolsma, that helped build this with your help. So again, I'm not looking for any pats on the back or anything, but just like for you and your role now, how is it being the head coach at a program that means so much to you?
Well, and it's awesome to be back here. And I'll kind of go back a little bit. Coach Williams, Dave Williams, strength coach, just the guy, I learned so much from him. But I remember him telling me, several years back, this idea when he was wanting to get back here, talking about unpacking his bags, be where God's put you, take your bags, unpack them. And I think that's a mindset that we've got to embrace. when I was here in the last stint, that was on my mind. I'll be honest, okay, what's going to look like as we kind of prepare for that. But I got to a point where I was content, and I think God had to work on my heart in that, being content with, I finally got to the point where, God, if you want me to be the assistant coach here for the rest of my days, however long that is, whatever it looks like, as Paul said, let me there be content. Let me be content with that. And I think at that point, I had a lot more freedom to just do what God's called you to do. It's not about, any selfish pride or anything like that. And so I think God was working in my life that way. And then when he moved us to Abilene,
Yeah.
he made it very clear to us and obvious. I mean, we bought property, we built a barn to men, we had cattle. I mean, it was like, okay, we're there.
Yeah.
I didn't see this happening. And then when coach called and we started having those conversations, I was like, wow, this is crazy that, we may be coming back. So yeah.
Phenomenal answer. And we haven't even talked about the 2021 season yet. I think it's great, Lance, the impact you've had here and just
Thank you.
the stories that you can help shape our student athletes is just tremendous. When you look at, next to football, track and field and cross country, you got a lot of numbers for kids to keep safe during the COVID pandemic. Tip of the cap to our administration, health staff, training staff to get our student athletes through this. What's that process been like for the numbers that you're responsible for with cross country and track and field?
Well, first, let me back up and just thanks to Ian and the whole staff. But Ian McCall, godly man, seeks the Lord, leads well. I mean, and that was one of the big things. He and Todd Tolsky, people like that. I mean, I got to know over the phone and knew their hearts. That was a big draw coming back here. But then you've got those old heads like me, Chris Casola. He's not old, but Chris been around a while.
Yeah.
Scott, those guys and the athletic training staff, phenomenal job they're doing and helping us just get the right answers. What does it look like? It may change this week, next week. So we're just really submitting to them and their leadership, which is awesome. We have a young trainer, and I told Chris if he tried to ever take it from us, there's going to be a fight. But Noah Wilson is phenomenal. This young man loves the Lord, has a good heart, gets things done. I don't know. He's just awesome to work with. And those guys are helping us with good insight. Like we were thinking, well, do we need to reduce our numbers? And, what does it look like going forward with the team? And that kind of goes against my grain anyway. I was like, I want to give an opportunity for as many people as possible. But Noah helped us realize, too, that that's not where the problems were happening. We were navigating practice well. It's the outside activities that we're having to really work on. And then Christy Bites, her crew, we're actually doing a bubble now.
Right.
Mask, bubbles, they take on new meaning this year. And so the bubble is something that all of our athletes will be doing their residential classes in to help protect us in that. And, it's just now getting started. So, we're flexible. Christy and I met yesterday. She does phenomenal work. And we realize it's going to be a little changing daily possibly, but we're going to figure it out. What works best, works best for practices. So I feel like those are positives. But again, being faithful with what we have today. We plan for tomorrow. We know tomorrow may change, but we try to be faithful with today. So,
joined by Lance Bingham, the head of our track and field and cross country programs. All right, now both sets of teams got underway last weekend. Cross country down in Charleston, and obviously track and field here at home. How busy are your days, Lance, juggling these different sports that are being forced to compete, right? And it's a good thing to keep everybody safe. They had to push a lot of things back, but what's it like balancing your days between the different sports? And I can't imagine, with track and field, how many different events there are to work out kids with. But how do you do that with your staff, and what have you found to be the most advantageous ways to balance your days?
Maybe we haven't quite figured that out. Phenomenal staff. On the
Yep.
cross country side, you have very capable, energetic Coach Isaac Winland and Rachel Johnson. Those two are just doing an awesome job. They're great mentors, they're great coaches, very responsible, good input from them. So I'm really relying on a tremendous staff. That's been what's helped me so much with the busyness of the schedules and all. And I think one of the things we're kind of missing is just kind of observance. We're not quite as connected as a team as I would like, but we've been prevented from that. Normally in the fall, you're doing tailgates together, you're having team cookouts and things like that, and activities that allow for that. And that's the hardest thing right now, is trying to figure out, okay, how can we, have a team Bible study with this group and spread them out and keep the distance. And, those are the things that in the evenings that, I've got to be cognizant of how's that affecting my time with Kelly, and keeping the balance there. And we're trying to, to do that well. But it has been difficult, but I feel like it's going well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see in the next few weeks. We're heading down to Clemson this week. And the roster is kind of growing because, some people coming off of, just self-isolation or this, that, or other, so, we were 60 or 70% last week. And so now as it kind of grows, we'll see what it looks like. Even.
Lance, you have the floor now to kind of preview your teams. You have a lot of individuals, and if I named one, we would do injustice with not naming
Right.
all of them. So maybe from a 40,000-foot view of, hey, here's what I think these teams can be like here in 2021. Just let us know, and we'll wrap it up after that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the 40,000 foot view. Women's cross country, they didn't have two of the top runners last week. They're doing great. I expect some awesome things from them. How much will they be able to be involved with the indoor? Hopefully, maybe a race or two to help us in that quest. The men's cross country. Maybe a couple of injuries. We get through a couple of things there. Could be very solid as well. Looking at our men's and women's track teams, across the board, we have some very strong, especially on the men's side. We've got some national level athletes as we're going into outdoor, probably even a little bit stronger as an outdoor team. But Coach Clinton has certainly got some great throws. We've got some good vaulters and multis and a few good sprinters that are just really high level. Coach Vinny's got some great jumpers and hurdlers. So with some of the ones coming back for that fifth season, even we could be. It's exciting to be involved with that. What was handed to us now. You've got to continue to navigate that from a health standpoint, and just somebody comes back from maybe an isolation or something, then you got to kind of bring them back slowly so they don't get hurt. So there's a lot to still go through, but could be pretty solid across the board.
You had 3 days of events last week outside of cross country, and when it comes to a track athlete, do you see? Obviously, there's going to be anxiety and nerves leading into something. And then even so for the coaches, and I think for what I do, if you don't have that, we might need to find something else to do or check our pulse. But do you see athletes kind of relax maybe throughout that first day? And then obviously 2, 3, and 4, if you have lengthier events, do you sense that with student athletes and going into an event like this during COVID? And man, it's been so long since we competed. Did you sense that with your group last weekend?
The first day was basically multis, so very few. We had 10 athletes or less, eight
Yeah.
or 10 athletes involved in that. So that's kind of the first day. Other parts of the team, they were there supporting them, cheering them on this type. But I think since they may have their event on Friday, so I don't think there's a relaxing as much as it goes through, but certainly the excitement, anticipation of it's been months. It's been 9, 10 months, 10, 11 months since they've competed. And there was even, you sensed, okay, we're getting back going,
Yeah.
and excitement there, and maybe, handling some of that excitement. That's a part of track. Having the right amount of excitement, but dialing it back enough to perform the technique that's involved. And so, a lot of what I felt like I was doing was kind of observing some of these athletes for the first time to see them compete, because you see them in practice all the time, but then you see them in competition like, okay, I'm learning, because as a coach, I need to know how to respond and encourage and support and get them through that whole process. And so that was good for me, to learn a lot more about the team.
Well, Lance, we'll leave it at that. We appreciate your
Great.
time.
Thanks, Alex.
Next two events, definitely want to mention them for cross country down at Florida State in a couple of weeks, and then the track team at Clemson coming up this weekend. Have fun the rest of the spring, indoor, outdoor, everything. You got a lot going on.
For sure.
But we'll catch up soon, okay?
Okay, thanks, Alan.